Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the top 5 most annoying characters to play against in my own personal opinion and my own experiences in tournaments or online. Now, if you didn't know, I already made a video in the past talking about the top 5 most hated characters, which you can check out at the top right screen right now, essentially by the community in general. But today I want to go into my own personal opinions, talk about those characters I hate playing against, and exactly why that is. And with that said, let's get going. So the first character I'm going to have to bring up right here is going to be Duck Hunt Dog. But honestly, this is kind of one of those cop-up characters where really I'm putting all the blame on Duck Hunt Dog, but this does apply to a lot of characters, and that mainly is all of these zoner characters, from characters like Olimar, to the Lynx, to the Belmonts, to Mega Man, really into those characters. But I feel like Duck Hunt is kind of the one for me that I have the most trouble with, and that just kind of annoys me the most. Now, the thing about playing against these characters is that essentially you're playing versus somebody who is just chucking stuff towards you the entire match. Somebody that just, presses B, and again, and again, and I feel like that just kind of gets old really fast, and especially this gets old online. In person, I feel like there are some ways you can get around this. You can just be very patient, wait for them to hit your shield, and then go in or jump around their projectiles. But online, it feels like these things are just going to hit you pretty much no matter what you do. Now, I feel like, again, if you are playing correctly versus especially Duck Hunt, you can actually beat him quite easily. He's a character that isn't the best, but if you're not playing 100% right, or if you don't know exactly how to play versus Duck Hunt, his combination of projectiles all at the same time oftentimes can feel like they're just a little bit too much to handle, which, that just kind of happens sometimes. Now I'm going to say, especially when you're playing versus Duck Hunt, as a character that you feel like should win, when you're playing like a top tier character that should win that matchup, and you're losing, that's when it's the worst to play against this character, because you know that this character isn't that great. You know that the projectiles are beatable. You know that all of this is the case, and it's so annoying that you're losing to this. It's so annoying that you're losing to the same strategy that's so beatable. And yeah, it is the good old case of get good, but while that's happening to you, that's got to be one of the most annoying things in the game, at least in my own personal opinion, and especially Duck Hunt to me can sometimes lead to just instant tilt when I'm not doing that great against him. Moving on to my second pick, I got Zelda here. Now, I do want to preface this by saying, I actually really like Zelda as a character. I've always liked playing Zelda, and I feel like she overall is fun to be the person playing as, but playing against Zelda is, in my opinion, a completely different case. Now, the things about Zelda that are just so annoying is the fact that A, of course, she does have a lot of long-range spam, a lot of long-range projectiles like the previous characters, accordingly with her side B and with her down B, which are both pretty good. But other than just that, she also has like an extra level of annoyingness when you're playing against her, that being her spammable close range moves, mainly her up B and her neutral B. Now, I dare to say here that the strategy to beating Zelda and beating these moves is kind of simple. And, it is actually, again, quite possible to beat this character, especially if you are very patient, but it is so boring to play against Zelda correctly. And I feel like that's the thing that makes her so annoying to play against. Because if you want to play against her right, and you want to beat Zelda, essentially what you have to do is stand right outside of her range, wait for her to use a side B or neutral B or down B or whatever as she thinks you're going to come in, have her miss, and then hit her, and then rinse and repeat. Now the thing is, you can't really combo her for way too long, because if you combo her for too long and try to get into strings, she can neutral B out of it, or up B out of it and kill you. And you really can't go way too aggressive, because if you do, well, she can maybe up B you right out of shield, neutral B you right out of shield, and yeah. So essentially, rinse repeat the same really boring, really slow strategy against her. And while it is kind of fun to be the Zelda player, just, checking all the stuff at your opponent, really annoying them, when you're playing against that, it can be kind of weird. I feel like, in a lot of my games, actually, I've seen Zelda players kind of getting bored of their own strategy and starting to go in. And while definitely that isn't the best thing for her, that can kind of happen. Now, of course, as well, I should say right here, you can camp Zelda, actually, with a lot of characters. You can patience Zelda in a lot of ways, but especially certain matchups like Little Mac, this can be kind of not that fun to deal with. On to Lucina. I feel like this is the only character that's actually really amazing on this list. The rest of them are just kind of annoying for their own particular ways, but don't really, body you all the time. Lucina, though, is a character that is both A, kind of annoying to deal with, and B, really good and almost broken, and I feel like that's actually kind of adding to the fact why she is so annoying, and which I'll talk about in a second. Now, the thing about Lucina that I feel like makes her just so annoying to deal with at times is that she is so good at everything, and I know that this does apply to a lot of the top tiers, but a lot of the top tiers feel like they are good and amazing and even broken at certain things, but have a certain weakness that you can exploit. You know, certain characters don't have the best recoveries, some feel like maybe they die a little bit too early, maybe some feel like if you get in on them, you can't do way too much. But against Lucina, it doesn't really feel like she actually has any main thing that you can focus on and destroy. It just oftentimes feels like you're playing versus her, but with worse tools. And oftentimes you feel like you're losing versus a worse player because she has better tools. Now, the thing about Lucina that's so great is that she has a ton of range, is stupidly safe on shield and on hit, is quick, has a good recovery, can juggle, can kill. She can just kind of do it all. And I think that really leads to the next thing, which is that there are so many Lucina mains. There are so many Lucina secondaries, so many people that randomly go Lucina after they've lost as their main online, or especially in tournament, like every single match I go to, I swear. And, you know, if this was a character that wasn't quite as basic and wasn't quite, you know, the same every single match, I feel like that would be, you know, kind of fun. But facing the same thing, facing the same basic strategy so many times does kind of get boring. And at this point, I'm one of those players that have just kind of gotten done with playing against Lucina. You know, I don't instantly give up when I see her, but I do get kind of annoyed, and I wish we could see a little bit more Marth, as it is just kind of a more interesting version of the character. But that's just kind of how it is, and there you go. So I feel like for the second to last pick, that being Snake, this one is really weird because if you know the Snake matchup and if you know kind of how to play versus him, it really isn't that bad. Or if you're playing certain characters that are like, you know, Zelda or other spammers that can outrange him, or even in some cases, characters that can just kill him pretty early, pretty consistently, it really isn't that bad. But if you don't know the matchup, if you don't know how to play versus him, if you don't know how to juggle him to infinity, if you don't know how to do all the things that really make Snake kind of crack, in a lot of cases, you just kind of automatically lose. And I feel like that happens a lot when I go to tournaments and a lot when I watch people playing in Snake. And I feel like for a lot of players, it is definitely their most annoying character to play against. And for me, I think he's still pretty annoying kind of no matter what. Now, the thing about Snake is that he's a character that just kind of has the spam as previous spam characters, you know, with all of his grenades and everything. But as well, he has traps with stuff like up smash, with stuff like down smash, stuff like his up tilt. And when you put him together, he's a character that if you don't know how to play against perfectly, you're going to trade a lot of hits, you're going to get spammed out against a lot, and eventually the Snake is going to come out on top, is going to outweight you, is going to kill you a little bit earlier than you can kill him, bring that into the next stock, and rinse, repeat, and eventually you just kind of lost. Even though it felt like you were playing fine versus him, you still lost anyways, and that's just kind of how it goes. I guess all that, though, really doesn't compare at all to the final thing about Snake that's annoying, and that is, of course, his Nikita. Now, this has been kind of nerfed a little bit, but if you're a character with recovery that is slow, or that doesn't go way too far, or that, you know, maybe you're just a character without way too much airspeed, this thing is just going to destroy you. This thing, he's going to throw you off stage, hit you once or twice, and then go for Nikita, blast you again, blast you again. There's nothing you can do. It's so fast, it's so much damage, it's so quick, can kill early. This thing's kind of ridiculous. And yeah, in certain matchups, it really doesn't do anything. But in a lot of matchups, this thing can just be so dang good. And yeah, it is super fun to play with, but playing against sometimes can be a little frustrating. With that said, though, Snake, a character that, you know, if you don't meddle the matchup, you're kind of in trouble. If you do, not that bad. But overall, I'm going to say kind of annoying to play either way because you do have to be very, very patient. The final character I'm going to be talking about in this video is going to be Lucas. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably saying, hey, you know, I think personally Ness is a little bit more annoying to play versus. And, you know, it can be kind of depending on who you're talking about. But I did put Ness in my last video talking about the most hated, and I actually feel like, in my opinion, Lucas is actually a little bit more annoying to play versus, and here's exactly why. So I feel like with someone like Lucas, he is one of those characters that's very similar to the previous people on this list. Of course, he's a spammer character, he can just be kind of annoying in that way, but he also has a lot of ways that can go around the main counterplays to spammer type characters. A, he has a kill throw. And other than just one kill throw, he has multiple kill throws, which means that you can't just shield all of his projectiles all the time, which is kind of annoying. B, he actually has a decent amount of combos which can take a while to finish, making it so that you're just sitting in there, you're watching them for a long time, and while most of the other characters that have a lot of spam just kind of hit you once and then you're off to neutral again, Lucas can actually take a while if he happens to hit you with a neutral air or a down air or even a grab in some cases. Now those are just things that I think make him a little bit more annoying to play versus, and honestly offline he really isn't way too bad. I feel like Ness and Lucas both offline really aren't too annoying to play versus, and you can shield them and you can play versus them quite patiently and it'll work out for you in general. You can't edge guard him. But if we're talking about Lucas, we have to mention online Lucas, and this is the most annoying thing in my opinion in the entire game, because While a lot of the other spammer characters kind of have a weakness online, where either they can't really kill way too easily without just hoping to get something, or they can't really spam all the time, or they run out of, whatever they have, or you can just get close to them and beat them. He doesn't really have that. Lucas is just a monster online. His side B is super quick, does a ton of damage, gives stage control, pushes people really far away, can't really shield it in time in a lot of cases, and then once you're put in that situation, or once he hits you with some other random thing, which you can do quite easily, you are put into the PK freeze zone. The zone where if you air dodge a second too early, maybe you could air dodge off stage and kill yourself because you're lagging online, or you don't air dodge and you get hit by PK freeze and die at 40% off stage, where you can't mash fast enough to get out of this, or you get hit by his up B and lose your double jump and die. This character is so ridiculous online sometimes, and I feel like playing against Lucas online, which happens a lot because a lot of people play the Earthbound Boys online, it can be kind of annoying. Now, again, offline, not way too bad, pretty much like all of these characters. There are counterplays against him, but if I find myself up against Lucas online, it's going to be a questionable time. But anyways, there you guys go on the 5 characters that I believe are kind of the most annoying ones to play against, mainly online, but in some cases as well offline. Now, if you agree with this list, make sure to tell me in the comment section down below, or tell me who you think I missed. And of course, as well, top of the screen right now is of course the playlist for more Smash Ultimate videos like this, and the link to the most hated characters, which you might enjoy if you enjoyed this one. But that all said, thank you all for watching, and have a smashing day.